Hello everyone, welcome to the talk by Sport and Recovery. We are here with Ognjen Stojanović, the best regional triathlete. Hello Ognjen.
Hello Nikola.
Ognjen, can you introduce yourself in your own words? And to those who are unfamiliar, can you tell something more about triathlon and how did you got into it?
So I'm Ognjen Stojanović. I'm from Novi Sad, from Serbia. I'm doing triathlon since I was 15. Before that, I was a swimmer since I was 5. So actually, I was swimming 10 years before I discovered triathlon by, let's say, accident. And on the summer here in Novi Sad, there is annual triathlon called Novi Sad Triathlon, which is have a good, great tradition with 20 or more years. So I did it with a friend. And the club, the athletes from the club, after that race, asked me to come to their trainings. So I just came without thinking about training it and stuff, but somehow after a few trainings, I really got into it. Did one race, and even without knowing, I was already, absorbed by it. And of course, after so many years in swimming pool, counting the bottom of the pool, triathlon was like a new dimension for me. It was much more interesting. So. Yeah, for 1 year I was doing both swimming and triathlon, and then in 2006 I actually became, let's say, full-time triathlete.
2023 was your best season yet. Can you share some highlights with us? And which race was the most enjoyable, and which one was the toughest one for you?
I would say that the last season was the best season in my career so far. Definitely, few of the best results I did was 6th place at European Ironman 70.3 Championships, 19th place at Ironman 70.3 World Championship, and also my debut at Ironman Series with full Ironman race, where I did on the first occasion sub 8 hours, where I was 9 in Ironman Florida, United States. And definitely I would say that European Champs was maybe the highlight of the season, because I was really close to the podium, some 40-50 seconds, which was really close. I could almost taste the medal. So I would say that was maybe the best race in terms of results. And the worst result and the worst race, let's say, is the only one did not finish race at Challenge Almere, which was also full distance or full Ironman race, where I lost all my nutrition, my energy bottles, so I was left without energy. And after the bike, I didn't even started doing the marathon. And apart from that, I got a few podiums at Challenge and Ironman 70.3 races, which is also for me great results and highlights.
Can you walk us through your typical week of training as a triathlete, and how does it work? You have cycling, running, and swimming. What's the order?
So triathlon is specific because, let's say, every day is kind of different. It's not like every day I do the same. Let's say that every day of the week is similar to maybe previous or the next weeks. So some days I would do like all 3 disciplines, like swim in the morning, then in the midday I would do bike, and then like in the afternoon or evening I would run. Other days I would just swim and do run. Some other days, like for example Sunday, I would just do like a long ride in the morning, and then in the evening or afternoon I would do run. But let's say maybe 4 days per week or 5, I would do all 3 disciplines. One day I would do swim and run, one day bike and run, and one day is like active recovery day, where I would just do an easy swim. And a few times a week I also do some core strength exercises. So that's, let's say, the basic kind of week for triathlete.
Triathlon training can be demanding. How do you prevent fatigue and burnout, and do you have any special routine?
Of course, and recovery is also a really important part of the training, because just too much training and too much intensity, has a downside, because if you get too tired, then you cannot perform. So always it needs to exist, and the balance between stress, which is training, and recovery, which is obviously the most important, is sleeping. So for me, like night sleep, the quality night sleep, 7 to 9, sometimes even more hours of night sleep, and then also the afternoon a nap, like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, is also a really important part of my day, especially when I have 3 trainings per day. But after so many years doing triathlon and professional sports, I also know to listen my body very well. So I also feel that, for example, if after 2 very big days and stressful, intense days, I feel that maybe I'm, let's say, touch this red line, then of course I do a little step back and maybe lower the training intensity, or maybe take, afternoon off, or just do an easy day. So it's always, it's a process of adjusting. You need to listen to the body, but also, of course, we are competing on the highest level. So yeah, sometimes it's normal to be tired and to push through it. So yeah, it goes with experience, I would say.
As you already said, recovery is vital for good performance. How do you prioritize sleep and rest, and how do you incorporate it in your training schedule?
For me, sleep is something essential because I'm really sensitive to lack of sleep, let's say. So it's not even that I need to prioritize it or not. Like if I don't sleep well for one night, I really feel it. So I cannot do a good session. So sometimes, of course, because of travel or for any other reason, if I have a bad sleep during the night or I sleep a few hours less, yeah, that day I really need to do like a longer nap. And if, for example, the next night I'm not sleeping well, yeah, I would not be able to train, because I think I'm so used to have enough sleep and quality sleep that even the little lack of it, I feel it, I think, much more than maybe the other athletes, which, can train few days in a row without sleeping enough. So yeah, for me, sleep is really, with the eating, with the food, most important thing to be able to perform well, both on trainings and on the racing.
How much sleep is enough for a triathlete? Is it about the amount of sleep or quality?
It's a bit of a tricky question, because I think there is, individual factor to it. I know some people who can really sleep a lot, not people, but the triathletes or athletes. And also I know some athletes who can sleep, a few hours less on average than some other people and athletes, and they're able to train well and race well. So I think individual factor is important, but the majority of athletes and triathletes need, I would say for sure, this mythical 8-hour barrier, let's call it, is something maybe the average, which we as a triathletes need to rest during the night. And the majority of athletes are taking these afternoon naps, or maybe even AM naps or noon naps, depends on how somebody's training, because of course the schedule is important to know if you can sleep maybe in the AM or PM. But I would say 95% of the people who I trained with, they really take care of their sleep. And also one thing which is common in triathlon, because we train so much, so many times a day, that if your body is tired at the end of the day, so it's, for majority of people, it's not a problem to fall asleep and to have 8 or 9 hours of the sleep. And yeah, I think it comes natural to us.
You mentioned the day naps. How important they are to you between trainings?
Yeah, without this afternoon nap, my third training, it's a different thing for sure. Like when I do a afternoon nap, which is like 5 or 6 times a week, sometimes even every day, it really changed the course of the day. Because if I don't do afternoon nap for some reason, yeah, I really feel that this fatigue from the previous 2 trainings in the morning and noon are affecting me. I feel a bit more tired. But many times, even if I train a lot in the morning and I do some heavy sessions, with this like 30-minute nap, I feel energized and I almost don't feel the fatigue from that day. So for me, it's like really essential. I really, try to organize my day and my things which I need to do during the day, that I'm able to find those 45 minutes where I would maybe sleep. Even just 15 or 20 minutes of this, how they call it, power nap, is something which I really feel the benefits of. So yeah, I just need to switch a bit, and yeah, it helps me a lot. And also, I usually put the alarm just to be sure that I don't sleep more than an hour, because then I'm a bit sluggish and I struggle a bit to fall asleep in the evening. But if I sleep around 30 minutes, yeah, I don't have any problems to fall asleep in the evening, like at 11, for example, or something similar.
We all know that triathlon as a sport demands a lot of travel, changing time zones, hotels. You always sleep in a different bed when you go to compete, and you travel a lot. So how do you adjust your sleep schedule, and do you notice difference between sleeping at home and sleeping away?
Yeah, I think I'm lucky because I don't have problems to sleep in hotels and other beds apart from mine. Although, of course, at the home, at Sport and Recovery mattress, I really noticed that in the morning I feel more energized. And the biggest difference where I noticed when after, for example, a few weeks of training or a week away from on the race, when I come home and sleep the first night, that's really when I notice this difference. Because usually when I go somewhere and first night I sleep in hotel, I don't feel that I slept bad or that I struggled. So usually when I return home is the difference where I can feel it. But for me, when I change the travel zones, the most important part is that I arrive to destination, no matter if it's east or west, tired. So I try to manage, little sleep during the airplane, that I don't arrive there and wait for night rested and with a lot of sleep during the travel, because then of course I would struggle to sleep at correct time because of the time change. So that's my kind of a trick which I used for many years ago, and it usually always works. And usually in 1 or 2 days I'm able even to change just 6 or 7 hour time zone without problems and with the good feelings on those trainings which are following the arrival, wherever it is, like east or west. And to be honest, I don't remember last time when I had some let's say issue with the sleeping in Asia or in the United States. So yeah, I think also my body manages it really well.
Many people don't know, but you are the first person that got our Sport and Recovery by Schlarafia mattress. And when we decided to make one for you to test it, you were clear about having no problems with sleeping. So you said straightforward that you may not notice the difference because you already sleep well. Did your opinion change now?
Yes, I told you, like for example, now I was one month in Spain training, and like the first few nights sleeping at my mattress, the Sport and Recovery, with also with the salient, the fibers and also the towel, the foam, it's like a big difference. And also when I started sleeping on it, I did this little test which we published, measuring with MFit device all the diagnostics of the movements during night, the quality of the phases of the sleep, and it was clear. So when I saw the data, it was clear that I turn less, that I'm more hours in a deep phase. So yeah, when I saw this, it was clear to me that even though I don't struggle sleeping at other places, that actually there is a big difference, in terms of recovery. Sometimes you can feel it, sometimes not. But yeah, at the end of the day, because during the year I sleep, let's say 9 or 10 months at my bed. So I think at the end of the day, it really makes a difference. Because for example, 2023 was the year where I trained most hours in my career, and I was not injured. I was feeling good during all year. I didn't have period where I was tired and where I couldn't sleep. So I think that's maybe one parameter and one fact which shows that actually this mattress is like really top quality.
Balancing commitments of triathlon can be demanding when it comes to family life. How do you manage to do both? You have a little daughter, but you travel a lot. So basically that means you're away a lot of time. How do you incorporate your trainings, your professional career with your family life?
It's tough for sure, because triathlon really takes a lot of time of the athlete. It's 3 trainings per day, races, training camps, and of course without the support I have from my wife, it will be tough. So yeah, I think it's the most important part to have understanding, and that they know what I do and why I do it. But of course, the biggest part of the year I'm at home. So between trainings, I can always spend time with the kids and with her, with the wife. And sometimes, for example, I'm going now to the main part of the winter preparations, and we travel all together for 2 months. So we'll be together. So yeah, it's always, sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's not so hard. It also depends. Like if I go for a race just for a few days, yeah, you don't notice it so much. But for example, now I was on a camp for 4 weeks alone. And yeah, that's for sure tough, to be 4 weeks away from little child, So, but yeah, you get used to it, because at the end of the day, although I really like the thing I do, the triathlon, it's my also passion, but also it's my job. So yeah, it's like there is no way around. Like sometimes it's normal to be tough.
Yes. Do you have any specific memories where your family significantly supported your sport? It doesn't matter if it's when you were young or today.
Yeah, of course. Like my mother and father were always supportive. When I was swimmer, like my mother would drive me to because we were living in a village 30 kilometers away from the city where I'm now. So she would drive me every day from a village to the city, to the pool, because yeah, I was training in a city. That was the first thing which I noticed when I was young. Of course, the support and dedication from them. Then, for example, when I decided to become like a full professional and to change the coach, to go to Portugal for a winter or for a few years and to change the environment, to train in training group, I actually left university. I finished first year. I didn't start at second year, and I was always good at the school. I competed in mathematics and physics, so I also had this, let's say, education, part of me, which was always, on a high level also as sport. But like they were fully understanding that and never, they never had anything against it that I try my best at triathlon, and there was no limits in terms of, maybe it's better that you continue with the studies and then when you finish, because at the time it was really risky because, triathlon is not like football or basketball, financial aspect of triathlon is not so great like some other, bigger sports. But they were fully supportive, and yeah, I will never forget that, because at the end of the day, I think it's really important that you have support of your closest ones, because then you can perform better and dedicate more yourself without thinking, maybe my mom and dad were right when they say that you shouldn't stop university and stuff. So yeah, I think maybe that thing with university was maybe the biggest and most important thing during my career.
As you said, the triathlon is a young sport. It's not as popular as other big sports, but it's on the rise, at least in our region. Do you see triathlon as a popular sport in the near future, especially in our region?
Yeah, for sure. Last few years, let's say since first wave, let's call it, was like since 2013, 2014, when a lot of new people came into triathlon. Because before that, like in Serbia, there was really not a lot of people doing it. Then now in the last few years, there is like, let's say, second big wave where there is a lot of, amateurs, but also young kids starting the triathlon, discovering triathlon. A lot more people who are not training it are aware of it, so they know what is triathlon actually. And one of the things is, of course, because it's getting more and more global sports. Also, the big race in Belgrade, which is organizing for the last 6-7 years, I think really did a lot of things for popularization of the sport, because of the marketing of the race, and also because a lot of people can see that it actually there is big race in Serbia. So people are asking questions, what is this? How can I finish it? There is more interest in it. Of course, there is more in media, more races on the media. Eurosport, for example, is broadcasting PTO races last few years, which is, another step forward. So, for example, a lot of my friends are asking me, I saw the triathlon the other day on Eurosport, maybe you will race it one day and stuff. So from different angles, there is, positive happenings. And I think in 5 or 10 years, I think it's expecting to see that triathlon is maybe on a par with, like, let's say, long distance running, like marathons, because also like long distance running get really big in the last 10 years in Serbia. So yeah, I think the trend which happened like 20 years ago on the West, let's say United States and Europe, is happening now in Serbia and also on Balkan region.
Do you have any advice for young people starting triathlon now?
Yeah, for sure. The most important thing for young athletes, not just triathletes, but athletes, is of course patience. Because especially in triathlon, comparing to some other sports like swimming, let's say, the triathlon is really, sport where you can perform well until you are 40, let's say, or 36, 37. So career can last a lot of years. So this is 2024 will be my 20th season in triathlon, which is just, showing the fact that, you can be so many decades in the high level in the sport. So patience is the most important, because if you overdo it in the first few years, when you're a junior and you get burned, yeah, you will. I know a lot of guys who are really good and really motivated as juniors, but then disappeared from the sport when they were 20 or 21. So yeah, I think it's really important to let's say to pace the motivation and effort. It's a long game, and it's important to be patient. Then there is, I would say, advice for amateurs, for age group athletes, is of course to put a little bit less stress on themselves. They're usually highly motivated and really hardworking, men and women, but sometimes they get carried away and they want to finish, Ironman in 1 year or 2 years. But of course, we have sprint triathlon, Olympic triathlon, half Ironman. So yeah, you should do it, step by step, year by year, and then like maybe after 5 years of training is maybe the right time to do an Ironman. So yeah, what I see usually with age groupers is they get carried away and they want to do everything at once. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's hobby, it's their hobby, so they should maybe enjoy more and put less stress to themselves. So maybe those will be advices.
So patience is the key.
Yeah, I think patience and also finding a way to enjoy the sport, because you cannot do it, you cannot force it, you need to enjoy it.
Looking into 2024 season, what are your plans and goals? And do you have any specific maybe races that you want to win or at least compete?
Yeah, I would outline maybe a few big goals. One is to try to qualify for Ironman Kona, for Ironman World Championship, which are this year in Kona, because now for men's and for women's, every 2 years there is a championship in Kona, and every other year it's in Nice, in France. So that's like a new thing which they introduced last year. So it's a pretty big year because Kona is back for men's mythical race. I think apart from Olympic race, Kona is the biggest thing in triathlon. So of course that's something which, since I was young, it was in the back of my mind. But I think now I entered into the age where it's realistic to have it as a goal. So I would need to do one really good Ironman race, maybe in the spring. So that will allow me to qualify for it. And then second goal, I can say that it's Ironman 70.3 Belgrade, which will be the first Ironman branded race in Serbia. It's new, the first edition, and of course it's actually the first time in my triathlon career that I would have that kind of race, that big race in my home. So that of course it's a big motivation, and to be able to get on podium or even to win it, which of course the main goal would be to try to win it, would be I think something really, really big. So yeah, it's in September, so it's even if I qualify for Kona, yeah, the Belgrade will be the A race, or the one of the most important races for me this season.
That's great. Thank you, Ognjen. It's a big season ahead, and we hope you're ready. You get well rested and you train well, so I'm sure your goals will be achieved.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.